Dayla will be here shortly. I'm gonna be in the future teaching lead generation today, but I've never taught it before, so. I'm gonna go grab our instructor book those here and start down like 3 or 4
You don't even do real estate. No, he just is real quick on his feet. Like, he always has something to say that, like, when you laugh at the same time.
How's everyone liking career development so far? It's a lot of good information. Awesome. For Dayla, since we just re-implemented, she's been happy to like teach, she's teaching the whole week. Cause like it's been a while since we've had it here. So like some of us as instructors. So we're learning while you learn a little bit. Brilliant. She knows a little bit of everything. And she knows almost everyone. What were your guys' big takeaways from yesterday with Kathy?
My little notes that I took were
Full.
extensive. So,
Yeah.
there was a lot of different small things that I just didn't know that I was able to jot down. Like, okay, that was my showing house.
I
I
saw,
didn't plan on going.
oh,
I didn't plan on going.
sure.
Yeah, but I think they were talking about it in class. Like, she's amazing. I'm like, all right.
She is, and you're gonna stay for her class.
Oh,
Yeah, she is. We actually have a couple of classes recorded on our YouTube channel that she's done in the past that I would recommend going back and watching also.
So realistic presentation.
Our kwgcagentresources.com, you can find the YouTube channel on that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't have it already. Yeah, she's brilliant. I watched a little bit, a couple of our agents were taking some videos and it was like when you guys were in the basement and she was like, yeah, do you see all this water intrusion in the corner? That means this,
Yeah,
and
that's
this
what I
and that, and I
remember.
was like, oh.
So I like took a picture of it and like, side note.
Mhm.
I never heard that before.
And she's like, apparently she's like, I'm not scared of anything anymore. Like, that's good. There's probably a remedy for everything. It's just a matter of what dollar amount goes along with that remedy. Yeah, are we calling like an inspector or a structural engineer here?
So the, listing presentation, the buyer's presentation that is in the,
Command.
in command, are those the only ones that we have access to, like?
Yes. There might be one, on KW Connect.
Is
So,
there so on the MLS, is there a cloud CMA on there?
I don't know if it's called like a cloud CMA, but MLS is where you would pull your CMA. Yeah, so, were you here you were here yesterday, right?
Yeah,
Did
so
she
the ones
know-
that come in, she went over the ones that come in command.
Oh, she didn't bring up her MLS.
Well, she had it printed out. in the book.
Oh, okay, how to do it. I think, Margaret might have just did a video recently about that, but, yeah, we can all go for that, for sure. Just because it's such a shortened amount of time to have to go, yeah, that would have been a good. Did you, when you joined the board here, did you have to do the MLS online class?
So I haven't joined the board here.
Okay.
I sent the application, but I haven't heard anything back.
Okay, they'll
I'm
reach
not
out
sure
to
if
you.
it's My Mark's number, or I'm not sure.
If you want, after the Kathy's class, if you want to stop by, I can shoot, I have a couple contacts at the board and I can shoot them an email and just at least make sure they got your application and then just see if they have any questions.
Okay.
Yeah, because you'll have to, when you join, you'll have to take like an ethics class
Right.
and then a mandatory, and it's all online, but an MLS class. And on that,
Before I can have access to the MLS.
no, you'll have access, you
Okay.
should have it pretty like right away, but before like you could get your e-key to like open doors and stuff, they make you do that. Yeah,
But my super box that I have, that I brought with me, I should still be able to use it here.
I'm not sure if those are universal, I imagine they are, it looks exactly the same as the other ones, right?
It's the same app too.
Oh, then I'm sure absolutely you should be able to. I'm sorry, but you should be here any minute. She was on the phone with putting out fires this morning. Usual. So after Kathy's class, I wanted to talk to you too about Pop City. We're still not getting anything there. Oh, so at least something kicked in, okay, but let's just still meet, okay?
Good morning.
Good morning. Agents with stuff going on today. let me
I
tell
just saw
you.
my, like, she's putting out fires all morning
3
long.
so far.
And this, obviously, because of Kathy's is gonna be like just a really,
Yeah, I told them on Monday what to
Too.
expect, well,
okay,
actually, we have some different faces that were here Monday. But we're going to talk about lead generation for an hour, and then Kathy's coming in to do her lead conversion class, so. Yeah. All right. Have you started with something?
no, I got it because
All right. Does everybody have a manual? Couple of you probably don't. I don't know if we have any extras right now that are quick. Would you mind just looking on?
I think that a few of them are just here for Kathy's. And not necessarily for.
So on page 1, let's start by talking about this lead generation database.
Okay, well, sorry to interrupt you. Do you have an extra one?
No, I just said we don't have any extras right now. I don't know if you
you
can.
know what I could do?
Share the screen.
I probably have one at
On the
home.
computer, yes.
I'll let Rachel work with that while I'm talking about that. So the lead generation funnel is the first thing that we're talking about. we talked a little bit on Monday during the systems and models about this. So I'm not gonna spend a tremendous amount of time on it, but remember how we talked about prospecting versus marketing? Marketing is when you are putting out an ad, when you're putting something on a park bench, when you're sending mailers, when you're casting to this big net hoping a fish comes to you. Whereas prospecting is people you know. So it's basically nets versus habit nets. And remember when we talked about this on Monday? For the people that you know that you continue to nurture and talk with, send them things, be of value, et cetera. For every 12 of them, you should get 2 transactions per year. Those are your METs. Your habit nets, that means the people that you're using to send things to, like a geographic farm. Or remember how I told you how I used to key in the database that we would get in the student handbook every year for my kids' school, for my kids' soccer teams, et cetera. So it doesn't have to be geographic, but it can be groups of people, your church directory, your school directory, those kinds of things. Those are people you haven't met, but you're sending things to them on a regular basis. For the habit nets, for every 50 that you nurture on a continual basis, you get 1 transaction per year. So that's where I wanted to touch base again, as far as that goes. When you look at this model in the book, it shows you, number 1 is lead capture, which is prospecting and marketing, meaning you need to start nurturing people, you need to send things to them. Your database is number 2, it's the top of that cylinder. Then leads come from relationships, contacts, and strengthened existing relationships. And then you prepare those contacts for conversion. And that's what Kathy's class is going to be about today, is lead conversion. Once you actually get that lead, how to convert it, how to turn it into real business. By the way, I didn't say anything. We're casual today because we have an outing this afternoon with the ALC. We don't usually wear shorts to the office, just so that you know. They don't even think, my goodness. All right. The other thing is when the leads come out of the funnel at the bottom there, after you prepare contacts for conversion and you assess people's needs and their offerings, then from there, they go into whatever buyer, seller, process of the transaction, and then hopefully they're a repeat client. Hopefully they refer people to you, and then it repeats. I always say rinse and repeat, just like the washing machine. So that's what this model is. You're going to see this a lot. That's the foundation of lead generation. I think I've told some of you my story about when I came here. I was doing okay when I came to Keller Williams 19 years ago as an agent, but I was looking for consistency in my business. Those of you that have been in business a little bit, have you ever experienced where you have business, you're busy, and then they close and you're going, uh-oh, I have no business, and you're back at the bottom. And then I'm working, we're going to get business, and then I close them and I have no business, I'm unemployed. That happens if you don't keep your lead generation consistent. We call it the real estate roller coaster. So in order to get to a point where you have consistency, it's really simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. It's that 3 hours a day of lead generation. And if you guys remember on Monday when we talked about what does that look like, I'm just kind of recap on this. Hour 1 is who am I going to contact and what am I going to say? That's where you take your list of paper or whatever it is you're working with, and you jot down those 10 names, their telephone numbers. And then you go to your scripts, either on our office intranet scripts manual back here. There are scripts everywhere, all over KW Connect, whatever it is you're going to say. And remember, a script is not necessarily a scripted, I am Dana with Keller Williams. It's not the robot thing. It is internalizing what you want to talk about, what you want to share, what you want to say. So it's conversation. So don't look at script as a bad word. A lot of people do. So what am I going to say? Who am I going to contact and what am I going to say? That's hour 1. Hour 2 is make contact. Doesn't have to just be by telephone. It can be telephone, it can be text, it can be visiting them in person. It can be hosting an event. Maybe you're going to invite 10 people per week for a happy hour, or 10 people per week to watch a sporting event, or 10 people per week to do some activity together. That's lead generation because you're interacting with them. One of our top producers, that actually works out of our Lancaster office. His whole lead generation is once a month, he holds a happy hour. He invites all the people that are in his core sphere of influence. They don't speak about real estate the whole time. It's just a matter of getting together, talking, networking, etc. And he gets all of his business, not all of it, the majority of his business from that group of people, referrals that they give him. A lot of them are other businessmen in town, but not all of them. And not the same people show up each time. He might invite 30 and 10 or 15 show up. That's his lead generation. You need to find what works for you based on, you know, your habits, the way you work. Picking up the phone and personal contact, either face-to-face or phone, is always the best way. Second would be a text. Third would be a handwritten note. And then you get further down the line,
I
emails.
think
and
that
so forth.
social media has risen to the top these days.
I think social media, a lot of it is used as marketing, not prospecting, because you're not specifically targeting someone. Now, the other day, Shannon Digger was here and she was doing a class about the shifting market and she was talking about social media. Social media, especially Facebook, is all about algorithms. And the more that you watch what other people are saying and interact, you're going to change the algorithm so that they see your information more. Regular Facebook posts are important. They shouldn't all be about real estate. They should be a mixture of real estate and the personal life because you want people to, you know, relate to you as a person also. So social media is like casting that big net when you're putting a post out there. But when you're interacting, if you see it's someone's birthday, happy birthday, do you have big plans? That's a great type of interaction because it gets them to respond back to you. If you're putting something out there, if someone's, you know, had a baby, congratulations, what a beauty. You know, whatever the case may be, that interaction, now that is more of a prospecting piece versus marketing where you're posting, here's my great new listing.
When she also said, like, you know how when you can go to your set, like your notifications and it says like everyone's birthday and you're like, I mean, I'm guilty. I'll go like, happy birthday, copy paste, happy birthday, copy paste, happy birthday, copy paste. Then she said that it's much better to actually click on their name, go to their feed, write happy birthday and say something different like on each one. That helps that algorithm too.
So make contact, spend an hour making contact, make contact, make contact, make contact. Remember, don't stop if someone tells you, my sister wants to list their house, don't call the sister, make the note, go on to your next call. Because remember, if we get off on that bunny trail, we don't get the rest of our 10 calls made. Then hour 3 is the follow-up. That's when you call Sister Susie and say, oh, I talked to your sister today and she said you're interested in listing your house. I would love to talk with you about it. Or if someone says, I want to buy an investment property, that's when you go set up their search. Or someone says, my child's gonna be moving off to college next week. Maybe you want to send them a handwritten note that you write today, stick a note where the stamp goes when you want to mail it, that's going to go out to them saying, congratulations on being an empty nester, or whatever it is you want to be. So hour 3 is when you actually do the follow-up work. Because if you stop in the middle of during your contacts to do that follow-up work, you're going to derail yourself and not get back on task, and you won't get all 10 of those or however many you've set as your goal to make.
Do you recommend using the command app for when they're doing this to help along?
As far as,
Well, because like when you call or text from the command app, when you go back to the next person, and I don't know if this messes the lineup, but a little pop-up comes up and says, what did you talk about? Like,
I recommend in hour 3, they do all that follow-up. So when they're making calls, I recommend writing the handwritten note. Because if you go back into something on your computer, chances are good it's going to ask you, prompt you to something else and derail you from what you're doing. So I recommend, and I'm old school, it's called PAM. It's a paper and it's got 20 spaces for who am I going to contact, 20 spaces to write the note of whatever they said, and 20 spaces for what's my follow-up action item for each one of those people. And then I go back in and then I do it all after it's done.
I have a copy of the DTV2 form. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but you take all of your contacts in command and you put a tag on them for their last name. So Sherelle Burnside, my tag will be B. And so it breaks it down every week of the year. And it says for this week, you need to call everybody whose last name ends with A and W.
That's a bold thing.
Yeah, yeah, so that was really helpful too.
No,
It
that's
breaks it down
great.
For every week for the whole year.
Well, and you bring up a great point, because one of the things I recommend is every year, I always felt like September was a good time to do it. And because you're heading toward that last quarter of the year at that point, is go in and clean up your database. And I do it by letters of the alphabet. So I might take it out, a letter of the alphabet each day, or maybe 2 letters of the alphabet each day. And you go through and you look at everybody in your A's and have I contacted them? What's their situation? Maybe they've moved, maybe someone's passed away in your list, you know, whatever that case may be, and clean up your database. And I always did it then because I personally, when I was selling, used to send something of value. It was a gift type thing to my sphere of influence over the holidays. So I wanted that cleaned up prior to doing that. So, but no, that's an absolutely great plan. So, and that's a bold thing. So for those of you going to bold, that you'll hear more about that too. All right, let's move on to page 9. How many of you are concerned about what to say when you talk to somebody? Or if you're lead generator? That's okay, I love honesty. Be transparent, I love it.
Yeah, that's $10 a candidate care.
So we've got some scripts inserted in here. So for instance, on page 9, there's a script. Hi, my name is Dayla, and I know we see each other every now and again driving around the neighborhood. Or if you're in a coffee shop, hi, I couldn't help notice that you're reading a great book. How are you enjoying it? Different ideas of things to talk about. It doesn't have to be real estate. One of the things that is great, it's the most subtle way to generate leads, is wear Keller Williams logo wear. Wear your Keller Williams name tag. You don't have to say a word, and people know exactly what you do. So one year, and this is, I'm not exaggerating at all. As you know, my kids are triplets. Actually, Andrew knows my kids, used to play soccer with them. But when they were little and they were in Little League, the team needed a sponsor. They played for one of the county leagues. And when you sponsored the team, you got a big banner that was put up on the fence. And then you could submit a logo design to be on their t-shirts. So it was a house with a sold sign on it, and it just had www.daylabishop.com, which was my website, my brokerage logo, and my phone number, I think, and that was it. And so here's these cute little kids wearing these t-shirts around. Here's the banner on the field. Every time I went to their game, I wore some kind of logo wear, whether it would be a sleeveless, tank top type shirt. I had a Keller Williams umbrella, I had a Keller Williams raincoat. If I'd come from showing houses and working, I always had my name tag on. I mean, people knew what I did, and I didn't have to say what I did between what I wore and my information being on these little kid shirts. That one baseball season, I could attribute to $45,000 worth of impact. While I was sitting in those stands, I met a builder who had 5 specs listed with a team, and he wasn't happy with what they were doing. I developed a relationship with him. I'll never forget, he called me Mother's Day. I was in the mall with my mom, and I answered the phone and wanted to sit down and talk, so I scheduled a meeting. I listed those 5 specs. Of those, I sold 2 of them. One of them, the buyer that came to me had a house in Worthington to sell, to move to it, so there was 3. I got 2 other listings as a result, and a buyer from that one baseball season. And I didn't speak a word about real estate. They came and approached me.
When I first moved here, to piggyback, if you don't have kids, when I first moved here, I went to one of my son's baseball games. It was like a hot day, obviously, right? And Jason Hoy from Farmers Insurance had someone right at the front of the field handing out little bottles of water with his label on them. Took the old label off, put the new one on. You don't have to have kids to be part of the schools here. I was like, oh, that's so nice. This is wonderful. I needed this so bad. And he's still my insurance broker today. So even little things like that work.
So where would you get say like Kelly Williams, Harold.
We have a guy right here in town, it's called Lucky Dog, and we can give you his number. He has our logo already digitized, and you can either take whatever you want, so maybe you like shirts like that, you can go buy 5 of them and take them to him, and he will put the logo on. Or he can get anything you want, polos, sweatshirts, long sleeve button-up shirts, any combination there. In fact, I contacted him yesterday because we have a lot of folks here in the office who either just had grandbabies or babies, and I want to get a bunch of Keller Williams onesies for the babies. So, he'll do anything you want to do, and he's way cheaper than going on to the Red Store or, any of the Keller Williams. But you can go to those sites as well.
And you could bring the shirts that you're comfortable in too.
Right. He'll do any kind. And he's right here locally, Clintonville.
Lucky dog.
Yep, I can put the number on the board here in a minute for you. If you go on to page 11, after you approach somebody, how many of you are inclined just to hand somebody a business card? I agree with you. I mean, it's fine to give them one. However, it's better for you to ask for their information. If they have a business card, or if they don't, say, you know what? Can I real quickly take your contact information down? Would it be okay if I kept in touch with you and shared with you, updates on the real estate market and different things from time to time? If you've asked for their permission, very rarely is somebody say, no, don't contact me. So make sure that you ask for their information, because if you just give them a card and expect them to reach out to you, guess what? They probably won't. Ask for their name, show them you care, show gratitude, offer compliments, be curious about them, introduce the topic of real estate. If you go to a social event, let's say you go to a party and you walk in, and I walk in and I just meet you, say, hi, I'm Dayla, you are? Sherelle, nice to meet you, Sherelle. So Sue's having this lovely party today. How do you know Sue? Oh, very good. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, where did you guys meet?
We met in college. Studied business.
Oh, great. So you study business. So what do you do for a living?
I'm a realtor.
Oh, I wanted you to say something else.
I'm sorry, I'm a dental hygienist.
You're dental hygienist. Oh, very good. Now, what's the most likely question she's going to ask me in return? I'm a real estate agent. I mean, you don't have to be the cheesy used car salesman where you're on top of everybody saying, hi, I'm a real estate agent. I'm telling you, you're investing in real estate. That, you don't have to do it. It's just conversations with people, building relationships. Then as soon as I tell her I'm real estate, what do you think the next question people usually ask is?
How's the market?
How's the market? No matter what the market is, it's incredible. Because it could be incredibly good or incredibly bad, but it's incredible. And actually then talk about it. It's like, you know what, we've got a real shortage of inventory right now. We have lots of buyers, we're having difficulty finding homes for, whatever it is. And you engage in that conversation because everybody wants to know what the real estate market's doing. So you don't have to be that, like I said, that cheesy used car salesman. I always used to like it. You guys are all young. You probably don't remember Sun TV that used to be in town. Right? So it was an appliance store, sold TVs and all that kind of thing. If you walked in the door, the salesman jumped out of the walls like ninjas. Everybody on top of you say, hello, how can we help you? What do you want to buy? That kind of thing. It doesn't have to be like that. It's a matter of building relationships and people knowing what you do. Those subtle reminders. Remember how we talked the other day about he who asks the most questions is in control of the conversation. So again, it's reminding us, ask open-ended questions, not just say, how are you? But say, if you ask that and say, fine, say, lead on from there. Try to ask something open-ended. Or if someone answers you with a quick response, say, so tell me why that's important to you, or tell me a little more about that. Try to get them to talk and open up and learn more about them. That's how you build a relationship. Because not everybody's a talker. Like some of us are. Ask about them, ask about their life, ask about their interests.
I want to move on to 13, and I'm going kind of quickly through this just because I know today's a little different because we're getting Kathy's class. This I call it bullseye. You're gonna see this a lot. It's in the MREA book, etc. So when we talk about our METs and our habit METs, the bigger circle, which is the general public, that's gonna be the bigger group that we're trying to pull leads from, but it's going to be more difficult because we don't have that relationship with them. Then we have target groups. Anybody have a guess as to what a target group might be? I'm sorry? Your farm, your neighborhood farm, that could be a target group, yes. Any others? It could be married couple or first time home buyers, maybe, a niche of some sort. So, yes. Another might be what? Empty nesters, another might be investors. So there could be different niches that's out there, but yes, those are all right answers. Then you've got your network. So your network might not be your closest people, but they're people on the peripheral that are maybe good friends of your good friends. Then you've got your allied resources. Anybody know what that is? Lenders, title companies, inspectors, handymen, painters, plumbers, all of those things. And those are people you should ask for business as well. You're going to give them business and you don't need all of their business, but ask them for business. I'm going to talk about that more in a second. Then we've got your advocates. Your advocates are the people in your life that are going to promote you and tell other people about you. And if someone says, oh, I'm thinking about buying a house. Oh my gosh, you've got to call me. Oh, I'm thinking about buying a house. Oh, you've got to call Sue. Then you've got your core advocates. And those are your really tight-knit people. And those are the people that no matter where they are, if they hear real estate, they're on it, they're saying, call them. So you've got your advocates, which they promote you, et cetera, but then you've got your core advocates that go out of their way and on a higher level promote you. So if you think about your database, I want you to think about who is in your database now. And you always need to grow your database. I'll never forget sitting in a class, just like you guys, and I was stuck and I was like, I keep working hard every day. I keep working at this and I'm not doing any more business. Why am I not doing any more business? And the light bulb went off in the middle of class. I'm doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I wasn't growing my database. And like I said, I'm old school. I got very on purpose about growing my database. And I created a Word document and I numbered 1 through 10 and I put lines out. And I had a part-time assistant that worked for me. And I told her, you can't let me leave here on a Friday unless I've added 10 new names to this list this week for you to put in my database. And that was my accountability. And I started doing that. And I did that for a month and boom, my business took off. And that's when I started moving the needle again. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. You have to keep growing that database all the time in order to keep increasing your business. It sounds so simple, but sometimes you're that hamster on the wheel, doing, that you forget to stop, step back, and work on your business. And that's exactly what I was doing at that point. I'm going to, we've talked about the METs and the habit METs a lot. Move on to page 16. This is an old version of what we'll call a SMART plan today. And there are lots and lots of SMART plans in Command. And Keller Williams has created some, we as an office have created some, other agents all over the United States have created some. And why reinvent the wheel? You don't have to, start from scratch. Look through SMART plans, decide which one, oh, this one fits me or suits me, and use those. Are any of you the type that when you go to design something, it has to be perfect and you have to have everything laid out and you'll spend all of your time in the design? All right, I am not that person. Remember when we did the disc the other day, what we came up with, and I was I wanted somebody to do the detail, but I wanted to get it done.
Most of the time, what you send, obviously you want it to look nice, but it doesn't have to be perfect, because we talked about what was remember what I told you the average life of the postcard was? 13 seconds. So it doesn't have to be perfect, it's gotta get the point across. On marketing like that, when you're branding yourself, you want it to look similar, so every time they see it, even if they're not gonna focus on it, they look at it and your picture, your logo, maybe the background looks the same or very similar each time, so, oh yeah, this is Charles. It would, because you jogged their memory. With the smart plans, it's the same way. It doesn't have to be perfect and laid out to exactly what you might want it to be, when you can take something that has been successful for someone else and use it and get moving on with your business. I recommend doing that. Don't get ready to get ready to get ready. Make sure you execute and move forward with whatever it is you're working on. So this is a sample one where it talks about letters and a scheduled theme. So this one has a 13-week cycle. So I also am a firm believer in do it once and forget it. Handle it once. If you ask my kids, I've told them their whole life, handle it once and forget it. When you take off those dirty clothes, don't throw them on the floor, just put them right in the hamper so you don't have to pick them up later. Handle it once and forget it. It's the same way with your marketing. A lot of it you can do ahead and have scheduled out. And that way, guess what? When you're busy, it still happens. You're not scrambling to think, oh my gosh, I don't have time to get that letter out or that postcard done or whatever.
I don't know how to do that part like that.
Margaret can help you with like all your smart plans, scheduling. So we just found out with postcards, you can only schedule them 2 weeks in advance now, where you used to be able to schedule postcards out for the full year.
That stinks.
I know, it
We
was
need to-
something about cost or something.
We need to send a note to
Can we
them.
just pay for the postage? or
Yeah, it's 68 cents per postcard, so you could do as little as 5 or as many as 500.
Oh,
And you're only paying for what is printed and goes out.
The other thing you
Is
could
that
do.
your command? You're saying it's
Mhm.
68 cents.
Yeah, you create your postcard in designs and then you do a direct mail through campaigns. And we can have a class about it too. Mhm. And, or you can do a one-on-one with Margaret and she'll show you.
You know how we talked about using your title partners? A lot of them actually have
Mhm.
printing services and can do that for you as well. And so you could set up a schedule for them and tell them, I want it to look similar every month. I want my information here, my logo here in this spot on the postcard, and then have them do the content and have them set it up for you to do, every month throughout the year. So there's, more than one way to do it. And that's again, pulling your allied resources in. So you're doing big.
Title company's about a third of the cost, about 20, less than 30 cents with their branding on
Oh,
some
cool.
and your branding.
Yeah, they
they
co-brand
co-brand
with
with
you.
you.
You're missing out. on
And
100%.
lenders will even do it with you. Title companies are equipped usually with printers and so forth. Lenders probably aren't, but that doesn't mean they won't do it. So,
Title companies have lots of great ideas too, like seasonal, like Valentine ideas and St. Patrick's Day and like fun little quirky fun ones that you can do.
so like I said, this is just a sample, but go through, get smart plans set. The big thing is doing it. It doesn't have to be perfect, just do it. You can make modifications later, just do it. Just like Nike says, just do it. Sources of habit nets. So we talked about some earlier. The ones that they give us in here are neighborhood or geographic farm, sports team mailing lists. So if you do have kids in sports, or maybe you're in a golf league or a bunco group or something like that, you can pull that out. House of worship rosters, club or organization member lists, LinkedIn contacts, Facebook, Twitter. We shouldn't have Instagram right now. So, those are some different places to look. I'm gonna jump ahead. Go to page 27. We kind of touched on this a minute ago about,
21 or 27.
oh, sorry, 21.
Yeah.
It's 27 at the top, my bad. We talked about tags for your contacts. That's classifying your contacts. The reason that that is important, when you're putting your contacts into command, or even after you get them and to work toward it, you want to be able to communicate with certain groups easily. So let's say that you have a new listing and it might serve a first-time home buyer. If you've got the people that you're working with that are first-time home buyers tagged as that, you could blast that listing out to that group and say, hey, I wanted you, to be one of the first to see my brand new listing, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your friends. And then they're combined with another tag that they're your sphere, because they're both your sphere, but some are relatives or some are not. So if you want to send something to just the relatives or just the friends, or maybe it's your child. I used to, when I would enter contacts when my kids were in sports, I would put Blair's soccer team, Brett's soccer team, Bryce's baseball team. And then that way I knew which set of parents that I was communicating to. And it could be something about the team and whatever was going on, maybe he was bringing snack, or it could be, here's real estate stuff. All through the years, it was so funny because I ended up with a lot of business because of the contacts I made through that.
So if you're not involved in anything, maybe think of what you're interested in and get involved in it and be part of that.
Remember how I told you on Monday, if you didn't hear me say anything else, I wanted you to hear me one thing, say one thing. Does anybody remember what it was? Don't tell me. Just do it. Just say, well, that's part of it. I told you not to pass go, don't collect $200 until you have, with how many people in it? No, 200 people in your database, and have them set up on a smart plan. I am not lying. That is the secret sauce in this business, you guys. That's where your business is gonna come from.
Like Dayla said, the smart plans too, it's in there. So ideally, ours, the best smart plan to have someone on is the monthly or bi-weekly neighborhood nurturer. But you have to have their email and their address for that. If you don't, if you only have their email, we have in there, and it's kind of just like cheesy or whatnot, but they're in there under, if you go to the smart plan and then library and type in KWGC, they're like daily, they're tips, like cleaning out your gutters and why you winterize and different things like that. But it's still at least a drip campaign that every month they're getting something from you, seeing your name. And we are, I talked to Margaret, so a lot of these things with Lead Gen that we're talking about, we're gonna start adding 30-minute classes to our calendar, like come and tag your database with us, or, build your smart plan library. So because of career development being launched, we're gonna start adding a lot of little classes to help you succeed in getting those things set up too.
Implementation. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the next few pages, because in preparation for today, we went over this earlier this week. But we talked about when you first meet somebody, they go on a 8x8, which is where they get touched once a week for 8 weeks. Then when that 8 weeks is up, we go to it used to be 33 touch, and that's what the MREA said, but it's really changed to a 36 touch. So throughout the year, they're gonna get 36 different nurtures or touches from you. Some will be phone call, but some will be phone calls, some will be text messages, some will be handwritten notes, some will be seeing them in person. Then when that's over, MREA says go to a 12 direct, which is once a month. I personally think just restarting the 36 touch is better. Remember I told you, life according to Dayla, not according to Gary. People you've never met before, like your geographic farm and so forth. It's a once a month, that's 12 direct, meaning they get something once a month. That's what those next several pages are all about. I know we went over this Monday. It gives you ideas of things you can do. Those smart plans are what you need to apply, are the things that you can do. They're the reminders that are gonna come up and hold you accountable to follow through with it.
Dayla and I set those up, you told me to set those up under the KWGC. If you go to the library and type in KWGC, there's probably about 30 different smart plans that I've added over the last, couple of years that you guys can use.
Let's move on to page 32. Here are 6 methods for marketing your brand. These are ways to get out there and cast the big net. We've talked a lot about Sphere. This is your brand. You can sponsor things. You can be involved in charities. One of our agents, Paul George, he has a passion for the Kobacher House and hospice. So he donates a piece of each closing to that, and he actually advertises that to his clients. So you can use, the charities or the things you're passionate about in order to promote your brand as well. Community events. Go to community events. There's lots of different, with COVID being done, people are attending community events like crazy. Go to fairs, go to places, set up a table. I remember, so again, I'm from Delaware, so Little Brown Jug is a big thing in Delaware. Just so happened I listed a horse farm right before the Jug one year. So I go to the Jug, I have my Keller Williams shirt on, I had pens that I was handing out. I had made flyers of my horse farm, and I put it on every windshield I could find back by the paddocks before the Jug that day. Be creative, think outside the box based on, what you might have going on. You want to appeal to people, be in front of people, get your brand out there. Media. Kathy Cairo, you might have heard her commercials on the radio. She does radio stuff. You can do TV things. There used to be real estate shows where you put your listings on TV on the weekends, but I don't think they even have those anymore. You can do press releases. Ask your local paper, can I write an article about what's happening in the real estate market and put it in there? Maybe that's a neighborhood paper, a neighborhood newsletter, something along those lines. If your neighborhood has a strong homeowners association and they do things, ask if you can be the person who mans their website, or maybe be on their Facebook page and put items out there about the real estate.
Next door is a really good one too.
Print ads, mail outs, newsletters, just listed, just sold. Believe it or not, just listed to just sold work. Even if you're sending them to your sphere and the houses aren't where that sphere lives, they work. Every month, you can, do a postcard, just sold, just listed, send it out, and it's showing you, I do business, I'm in real estate. Special event cards. If I were farming a neighborhood right now, this is what I would do. Every month, I would take that neighborhood, I would do a search, and I would do the quick one-line CMA. That's like the CMA we looked at yesterday that I prepared. And I would take the synopsis. Remember how we had the actives, the in contracts, and then the solds? I would say, in your neighborhood, there are 3 properties listed. There are 4 in contract, and there are 5 that sold. If you want to know the value for your home, or the average sale price was X. If you want to know the value of your home, call me today. Anything that simple. You're sharing real estate information. I'm not a big advocate of sending things like recipe cards and all of that. You're not Betty Crocker. You're not running a cooking school. You're selling real estate. So you want to take your piece of the profession and send that, your expertise, and share that. So they want to come to you for what their real estate needs might be. You're creating interest. You're creating curiosity around it.
With that, are you saying like a postcard or?
Absolutely. Or it could be a
flyer.
door hanger, it could be a
Yeah.
flyer, it could be anything. And if you're doing that every month, guess what? They're gonna be, ooh, what's going on in the neighborhood this month? You can even go as far as put there's, if it's the neighborhood, 123 Pine Street's listed for X amount of dollars. 123 Main Street's listed for this, all in that neighborhood. And then if there's, not too many, you can put what the ones in contract are, what the solds are, and what their amounts were. Because that's public information.
You don't have to put the listing agent's name.
No. You say, this is listed, this is in contract, this is sold. Just put the addresses. And then call me for any questions or to find out the value of your home or whatever it is you want to create around it. But I say capitalize on your real estate expertise so they call you for that. Some other ideas. Promotional items, hand out pens, hand out koozies, cups, those kinds of things. Community calendar, see if you can get on community calendars or sponsor a community calendar. Signs, yard signs, directional signs, benches, billboards, grocery carts, moving vans, wraps on your vehicle or magnets on your vehicles. You can use Mojo Dialer, that's what number 5 is talking about. Also, video is a big piece of the business this year. People record a video about stats on the market. Pull a housing report from Columbus Realtors each month and talk about, in Central Ohio, we're seeing that listings are down by 29%. The market is definitely shifted. If you've thought about buying in the past and you couldn't find property, inventory has actually gone up. Let me know if I can help you, or call me today so we can find your dream home, whatever it might be. Do a video, and put it out there.
We have video equipment in my office that you can check out. We have a tripod, we have like a stabilizer, we have like a microphone, and your phone literally just like clips in it. And you can like stand in front of our step and go. I also do the green screen if you're a little bit more savvy with like editing and stuff. So if you guys ever want to create videos in here, you're welcome to check that out.
All right, just quickly, because we're gonna be running into Kathy's class here soon, but the 101 lead generation ideas on page 35. Those are all places and things that you can do in order to generate leads for your business. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but here's something I want you to think about. Why do people buy and sell real estate? Usually because they're having a life change. Would you agree? Somebody's getting married, somebody's having a baby, somebody's downsizing, someone passed away, someone got relocated for their job.
Family's growing.
So those are all reasons that people buy and sell real estate. Think about what other professions help people going through those life changes. Dave?
Attorneys.
Attorneys, funeral homes, funeral directors, nursing homes, physicians, clergy. Think about some of those professions, financial planners. Then think about, who do I know right now that's an accountant, that's a financial planner, that is a clergyman, that is a funeral director, a nursing home person. If you don't know any of those, who can I get to know that might be in one of those roles?
LinkedIn is probably one of the best platforms to meet other affiliates in all of those territories. LinkedIn is like a business social media platform. And if you don't know accountants, they will reach out to you when you put your profile in there saying, I'm a real estate agent. LinkedIn is huge for that.
Depending on the community where you live, get involved, go to the chamber events, meet people in the community. Ask them if there's somebody that you want to meet that's in town, say, hey, could we have coffee? And ask them, hey, I'm gonna need an attorney to be able to refer clients to. In return, I was wondering if you would have clients you could refer to me. And if they tell you they're already working with another agent, I'm not asking for all of your business. I'm just asking for some of your business. Could we, could you share the love, so to speak? Get involved with people who also are working with people with life changes. Builders. Guess what? People go to builders to build a house. They may have one to sell. If you get into a relationship with a builder rep, it can get those referrals back for the listing. That was another way I built my business. I told you guys yesterday, for sale by owners. I also knew a girl that was a builder rep, and it happened to be a builder rep that didn't provide land. You had to find your own land and they built a house on the property. Well, after I helped their people find land, a lot of them had houses to sell and I listed them. Well, guess what? I ended up in a relationship with them where I was their land consultant. And so I would go to their builder meetings, because they had one once a month where it was meet the team, and it was meet the construction supervisor, meet the interior designers, meet the, all the different people on their team, and they introduced me as their land specialist. And guess what? When I got up to speak at that, I also talked to them about, and if you have a house to sell, I can help you do that as well. That was another great way I built my business. So think about other people you could network with that could be facilitators, become those core advocates for you. On page 34, this is a great way to lead generate every day. Call 5 people in your sphere Monday through Friday. Write 5 personal notes to people in your sphere Monday through Friday. Visit 5 listings in your area. Get to know how to look at property, how other people have priced properties. One of the best ways to do that is get involved with one of the area real estate associations. Dave Truitt is real involved in Gahanna's. Paul George is real involved in Westervilles. Wherever you live, there are different ones. And guess what? Those seasoned agents go to those association meetings so that they can network with other agents and build great rapport, because that creates great co-ops.
And in addition to that, they can see what's on the market, how it's priced. That gives them the insight to go, oh, my client over here, that might be a good fit for them. That's a great way for you to start learning the business and get involved by viewing those properties.
You guys can find that on the Columbus Realtors site. I think it's under membership benefits, but if you log in to the Columbus Realtors, it will say area association tours or something
It has
like
the
that.
list of where they meet and who their president or membership person
Yeah.
is. Hold one open house per week. Guess what? We have all of these agents in this office that all take lots of listings. They can't hold all of those open every week. Get in touch with them, say, hey, do you have a listing I can hold open? Go view the office listings and see if there's one in a neighborhood where you really want to work. And call that agent and say, hey, can I hold your listing? Or put it out on our office Facebook page. Hey, can I hold, I'm available to hold an open house on Saturday or Sunday from X to X. And then add 5 new contacts to your database every week, Monday through Friday. If you follow that, and I recommend copying this and pasting this up on where you work. If you follow that, guess what, guys? You're gonna be successful. It's not, I mean, it's simple. It's not easy. You've got to show up and you've got to do this every single week. I mean, do you guys think that's hard? It's not. You just have to do it. If you move on to pages 38 and 39, this is a good place to track your appointments. So if you're gonna do 5 a day or 10 a day, guess what? Here's your place, you can write it down. It's got the places for you to write your follow-up and the action to take. So you would give it to you right here, if you're old school like me, and you wanna do it on paper. I'm a visual person, I need to see it. All right. Yesterday, we talked about FSBOs, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that. FSBOs have not been as prevalent to be able to convert into leads for listings in the last few months. However, as the market shifts, you might start seeing more of those. And guess what? Do you remember what one of the big things we talked about yesterday that you could share with them? They're not getting exposure. And how many sites do we syndicate our listings to? Over 750. So guess what? You list with me, your listing is going to go everywhere. And that's when we see the multiple offers.
We have that listing syndication flyer on our intranet.
It's also in the book.
Oh, cool.
Yep, we went
That's
over
right,
it.
I forgot.
Yep. The FSBO packet is nothing more than the pre-listing packet, like what we went over yesterday. Now, another source of business, which is somebody raising their hand saying, I want to list my house, are expireds. We haven't seen a lot of that. We're on page 45. We haven't seen a lot of that over the last few months either, because things have been selling like that. Again, as the market shifts, we might see more of those. So that is another category in your searches in MLS that you want to start looking at. If you see an expired listing in an area that you work, that's somebody great to reach out to. And then when we shift to that, what I used to do is I had my pre-listing packet done. Remember how we talked about doing a generic listing packet and a generic pre-listing packet? So they're always done, ready to go. I would take that generic pre-listing packet and I would personally drop it off. I didn't mail it, I would drop it off. And I would always do it, I would leave the office at 4 and I would do it between 4 and 6. Do you know why? That's what I was hoping to catch people come get home from work. And I knocked on the door, I'll never forget, I knocked on the door and this house had been listed by Century 21. I knocked on the door and the person come to the door and I said, hi, I'm Dana with Keller Williams Consultants at the time. And realty firm. And I noticed that your property had expired. I wondered if you were still planning to sell your home. Really, it did? I said, yeah, that's not on the market. I had no idea. I said, what I've done is I've got my information here and the plan that I use to get properties sold that didn't sell the first time. And I would love to sit down and talk with you about selling your property. Catching you at home was a great thing. I went door knocking. I didn't do it a ton, but I did it some. I got a for sale by owner to list with me by door knocking.
There's this girl in Atlanta, she always did a wine wagon. Like once a month, she would do a wine wagon on her farm. And she would just go through and have like, little bottles of wine.
Yeah.
Get red or white. She just knock on the door and say red or white. And they're gonna take the wine.
That's funny.
I would take the wine.
Did she brand it with her information on, print stickers with your logo?
Up here now. or
Ah,
something
that's
like
cute.
that.
That's really cute. That's really cute. So,
You know what, I'm all about the corn and cheese, I think that's great. I love corny things, I like cheesy things that have people remind you. How many of you know what my license plate is on my car? What is it, Dave? Delaware. I'm Dela from Delaware, my nickname for 35 years
That is so cute.
has been Delaware. When I was marketing, I used it in my marketing, my website, everything said, another one sold, ... That's why they call it Delaware. That's all I put on stuff. And people remembered it. I had it on my license plate. I still have it on my license plate. That might be good or bad, because if I'm speeding or I'm not being a good driver, but if you want ideas to come up with your marketing, let me know. That's what I love to do. I should have been a jingle writer or a card writer or something along those lines, because I love all that creative stuff around your name, you know.
She writes the best bold songs too.
I don't do them anymore though, that makes me sad. All right,
I don't know how many people are probably waiting to get on the other Zoom. Just FYI.
you go ahead and switch Zooms and we'll
Okay.
continue on to, I'm not sure where Kathy is.
Yeah, so for everyone on this Zoom, if you can hear me, I'm gonna go ahead and shut down and open up the next Zoom.
So, is everybody familiar with what the do not call list is? You guys can come in, you don't have to wait out there. Does everybody know what the do not call list is?